In this video, we're going to cover the exam question related to the equity-linked annuity. And so here's an actual previous exam question. We have a single premium deferred annuity. It's an 8-year policy. It's the initial premium is $200,000 and it has a guaranteed interest rate of 1.5%. This policy was issued when the S&P was 1450. And so this at the money that we say on the call option means that the strike price for the call option is $14.50. If you don't understand options, you just have to trust the math in this example. So we've got a call option that has a strike price of $14.50, which means it's going to make you money once the S&P goes above $14.50, but if the S&P is below $14.50, the option will be worthless at expiration. The option itself costs $500, and this company can buy bonds. That a zero coupon 8-year bond has a return of 4.5%. So when they get your premium, they're guaranteeing you 1.5%, and they're going to put enough money into these bonds in order to make sure they have that 1.5% covered. So the first question asks, how much should they invest in this zero coupon bond today in order to make sure they have that 1.5% covered? So essentially this question becomes, what do we need in 8 years? We have $200,000 a day. We need to provide 1.5% to the investor over 8 years. So that future guaranteed amount that we need to have ready to pay that person is $200,000 times 1 plus that guaranteed rate. So 1 plus 0.015 raised to the 8th power. And when you do that, you get 298.52. You don't have to use decimals. Definitely don't go out any more than 2 decimals. You can round it to dollars if you like. I'm going to go out 2 decimals in this example. So that's not the answer to question A. That's just part of it. That tells you how much you need. Well, how much do you need to invest today to have that? Well, today we can invest our money at 4.5%. So how much do we need to invest at 4.5% today? So in 8 years, we have $225,298.52. Well, to do that, we just take 225,298.52 and we divide it by 1 plus the rate. Well, what rate do we need? Well, we can invest at 4.5%. So we'll take 1 plus 0.045. Again, we're doing this for 8 years. So you raise that to the 8th power. So 1 plus 0.045 raised to the 8th, and that equals 158,426.57. So if we invest 158,426.57 today, we should have 225,298.52, assuming the bond doesn't default. So that takes care of that. Well, that's question A. That is the answer to question A. The answer is, how much should you invest in a zero coupon bond? You should invest 158,426.57, and that will ensure that you have that guaranteed amount. The second question is, well, how many S&P 500 call options should the company purchase today? Well, someone walked in with $200,000 and a premium. The insurance company is going to take 158,426.57 of that to place in the zero coupon bond, which means they have left over that they can do something with, 41,573.43. Well, that leftover money, they can do whatever they want to, essentially, because they have enough money to make the guarantee. So what they want to do is buy something that they believe will mirror the stock market some, so that the person buying this annuity gets some exposure to the U.S. stock market. So what they're going to do is buy call options. So they'll take that 41,573.43 and we'll divide that by the cost of each option, which each option costs $500. So you divide that by $500, and when you do that, you get a rounded number of 83. And again, I don't care which way you round up or down. I usually round whatever's closest. So there'll be a little bit of friction, but it's just get close enough. So 83 is fine. So they're going to buy 83 call options. So if you get 82 or 84, whatever the rounding is, that's fine. So how many S&P 500 index call options should the company purchase today? Well, they should purchase 83. The last part of the question wants us to fill in this particular matrix. Well, some of this is very, very straightforward. Like the very first one is, how much is this bond portfolio going to be worth in 8 years? Well, remember, we invested $158,426.57 at 4.5%, and we already know that's going to be worth $225,299. When I go into the table, I'm going to get rid of the pennies at this point. So $225,299, and that's true in all three cases. $225,299. That's that portfolio that matures to make sure we have the guaranteed minimum. Alright, so these are three scenarios. If the S&P 500 falls, if it stays exactly where it started, or if it rises, it doesn't matter. That bond portfolio ends up at $225 to $299. Now the value of the options, remember the call option only has value if the S&P is above the strike price. And since this is at the money call option, that means the strike price is $14.50 because that's where the market was when this product was sold. So if the S&P is at $14.50 or lower, the options are worth 0. So you can just strike that out. Well, what is the option worth if the S&P 500 actually zoomed up to $28.50? Well, in this case, the way this works is you take where the S&P 500 is, $28.50, minus the strike price, $14.50, and multiply that by the number of options that you have. In this case, we have 83 options. So when you do all that math, $28.50 minus $14.50 times 83 options, you should get $116,406. And make sure you show all of your work on the exam so that I can give partial credits. So that's $116,406. So for the person who bought this equity-linked annuity, what do they have at the end? Well, we're just going to assume all of this is passed on to the policyholder. So you just add across 225 plus 0. So 225, 299, the bond plus the option, 225, 299 plus 0 again. And here we add the 225, 299 plus 116,406, and when we do that we get 341,704. So now the question is, what is their return? Well, the return on the annuity, obviously, if they have just the 225, 299, we already know what that return is. It's got to be the guaranteed minimum of 1.5% because that's all we get is that bond maturing. So that's very straightforward. But what about the return for the annuity when they have 341,704? Well, here, remember the formula for this, for a return, is your ending value over your beginning value. Raise all of that to the 1 over n minus 1. So in this case, their ending value is 341,704. They initially invested $200,000, so 200,000 is their initial investment. We then raise that to the 1 over 8 minus 1, and when you do that, you get 6.92%. And then for the S&P, we just do the exact same thing. So here, the ending value is 870, 1450, 2850. So we just take each one of those, 870 over 1450. That was the ending value over the beginning value. Raised to the 1/8 minus 1. You do the next one, 1450 over 1450 to 1/8 minus 1. And the last one, obviously that's going to be 0%. The market doesn't move at all. And then the last one, you take 2850 over 1450. Raised to the 1/8 minus 1. So the 870, the return you should get is minus 6.19%. And for the time when the market rises to 2850, your return should be 8.81%. And again, show all of your work just in case you have a math error. I can give you credit for doing it correctly. Thank you.